Meet one of the world's fastest and most desirable hot hatches, the Ford Focus RS. It uses motorsport technology, some trick suspension bits, and a pretty lively engine to deliver scintillating performance. Now, unfortunately, the Focus RS is not for sale in South Africa, but we've been able to trace the only one in the country. It's owned by the Lazarus Motor Group, and we brought it here to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit for a couple of laps to see whether it's really as quick as it looks. The RS badge has been synonymous with fast Fords ever since the original Escort RS 1600 burnt rubber in the late 1960s. That car was firmly rooted in the fertile ground of motorsport, and it's true to say that the Focus RS draws heavily on Ford's considerable experience in the racing and rallying arenas. Even the car's bright green hue is a reference to the Le Mans green of the 1970s. There's nothing subtle about the Ford Focus RS's exterior, and in fact, the bright colour is only the start. It also features a lower stance, an extrovert body kit with flared wheel arches, and a rear diffuser. But under all that Tupperware, this is still a Ford Focus. Which isn't a bad thing. In standard vanilla trim, the current Focus hatchback is a handsome machine with clean lines and a distinctive profile. The RS version retains those basic virtues but adds bodybuilder bulges and contours to create an altogether more muscular, more menacing package. Key elements include the huge lower air intake with visible intercooler, the extra cooling vents, those massive wheels barely contained by the extended wheel arches, black mesh finishes, and a rear wing big enough to cast a substantial shadow. Gutter-sized exhausts jut out from the rear diffuser, but the strip of strobe lights is an add-on, reflecting this particular vehicle's regular role as a pace car. One thing's for sure though, there's nothing timid about the Focus RS and nothing subtle either. It's a car that reeks of speed and adrenaline. Even better, the RS isn't just a fancy styling exercise, it's a thoroughly engineered performance machine that just happens to use the Focus as its starting point. That's no mean feat, considering that the normal car is a regular compact hatchback. In the case of the RS, the cosmetic similarities can be deceiving. Its underpinnings are about as far removed from a family hatchback as a wheelbarrow is from a touring car racer. So, the RS feels like a thoroughbred, and given what's under the bonnet, that's not surprising. The RS uses a keener version of the ST's 5-cylinder 2.5-litre turbocharged Durotec engine, but this one produces 224 kilowatts of maximum power and 440 newton meters of torque on overboost. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of the RS is that all that muscle has to be fed to the road via the front wheels only. Anyone familiar with powerful front-wheel drive cars will agree that solving traction loss and terminal understeer usually means limiting the output. But the RS easily copes and offers a great cabin too. The cabin perfectly expresses the motorsport-inspired persona of the Focus RS, and it's dominated, of course, by these high-backed Recaro bucket seats. There's lots of carbon fiber bits and lots of RS badges too, just in case you forget what car you're actually driving. Just as well, because the rest of the interior is pretty much standard Focus fare. There are more shiny and new carbon fiber bits and some extra gauges too, while Ford has included most of the vital convenience items to ensure high comfort levels. But aside from those excellent Recaro buckets, there's not much else that really excites. Fortunately, the RS doesn't have to rely on gimmicks or extras to attract its audience. This car is all about driving, and the Ford has a ferocious appetite when it comes to devouring kilometre after kilometre of tar. With so much power on offer, you'd expect this Ford to be rapid, and it certainly is. The 0 to 100 time, 5.9 seconds, top speed 261 kilometers an hour, and it feels every inch as fast as that. In fact, this must be the most exciting Ford, and certainly Ford Focus, I've ever driven. The combination of the turbo-boosted engine's thrust, the finely balanced chassis, a ride that delivers unequivocal feedback, and the short, sharp gearshift action is enough to make any petrolhead grin from ear to ear. There's no other Ford quite like this one. But perhaps the development team's greatest achievement is that the RS remains so poised and so controllable despite the substantial amount of power it now presides over. There's a particular reason why this Ford is able to put the power down on the road so efficiently without any torque steer whatsoever. It's called Rebo Knuckle, and it means that this car is very efficient at making the most of the power on offer. The Revo Knuckle is a proprietary mechanical system that counters torque steer, traction loss and understeer by optimizing steering offset, while a limited slip diff adds further grip and control. Right now, the biggest problem for RS fans is that production of the car has already come to an end, which means that this has become an instant collector's item. And in fact, there's a brand new Focus on the way, which will be a truly global car, and there's no indication yet whether that car will also spawn an RS version. But one thing's for sure, this is definitely a classic in the making. A massive 224 kilowatt and 440 Newton meter propels the Focus RS into superhatch territory and allows it to take on and beat more fancied machinery. The result is one of the most desirable Ford Focus models on the planet. All the more is the pity that it was never officially released here, especially since production has been halted.